welcome to Big Innings, America's Cricket Podcast. I'm Aaman Patel. I'm joined by the one, the only Dane Piedt, and the one, the only Nate Hayes. We're finally back, guys. Another live show. It's been quite a while, but good to be back in the space.
Yeah, really good. Sorry, boys. It's all my fault. Been a bit busy. But good to be back. Good to see you. Some have dropped a couple of pounds, which is good. Well done, Nate. Keep going.
Thank you.
I heard all about your hockey exploits, but well done. Yeah, but it's good to be back.
Thank you. Well, it's great to be joined with you. Have you join us, actually. We usually do the
Yes.
weekly podcast,
Been
but
following everything.
Aaman's way better at the intros
Okay.
for the live stuff. So
Well, no, I don't think about all of that. But, man, oh, man, we have a jam-packed show to come back to. And first, just a couple brief mentions. We have that Ball and Play League. Nate, you were a part of that. I saw a little bit of fielding. Nate, did you know umpires field in that league, though? I didn't know that was a thing, Nate.
I got whacked in the back with the ball. This time, last year it was the nuts. This year it was the back.
Taking a beating up there.
Yeah, I was trying to get out of the way, of the ball. It didn't work out too well. And then did you see Mohammed Mohsin's incredible catch?
Oh, incredible.
Yeah,
the one-hander? Yeah.
He caught that no problem. I couldn't even get out of the way.
No, it's great. It features 6 Major League guys, a couple of USA cricketers, so really good to see that. And John Boy always makes that a really fun experience. Chris Rose, always great on comms. Dane, what do we got to do to get you back up there, man? What do we got to do to get you up there in New York doing it?
I don't know. Obviously not part of MiLC anymore, so I don't think I'll be invited to that unless I get invited as an international cricketer. I think
Maybe
that
another
would
guest
work.
commentator. I think that'd be fun
Oh,
too.
that would also be cool. But yeah, obviously don't have any ties with MiLC anymore, so that was the way in. But yeah, it looks a lot of fun. I watched a couple of games. I saw Savo and Justin Dill involved in it, Aaron Jones too. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to see how the guys play that, incorporating cricket and baseball. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, great. I mean, I would suggest them to you, or you to
Won't
them.
work.
Won't I'll watch. Here's what'll happen. I'll suggest you to them,
Won't work.
and they'll be like, you'll take my place as the umpire. That's how it'll work out.
It won't work. It won't work. Our pigmentation is a lot different, so I don't think it'll work.
It's gonna work out fine.
It all works out in the end. Speaking of watching a couple matches, USA Bangladesh, they kicked off their games yesterday. We'll see another one tomorrow. But a big deal. I mean, a win against a top 10 T20I team down there in Prairie View. Guys, what were your kind of reactions? Take me through. I'll start with Dane. Take me through what you were thinking watching that game.
Yeah, the US players, the unknown US players are definitely known now. They're not gonna just come on and say, oh, there's a lefty at the crease, let's bring an off spinner on.
Sure.
They're actually gonna have a better plan. And that, like I told in our Raptors group, I said, if this is the game the US wins, it's this one, because they're going in there unknown.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to see them take the game all the way. And for me, that's the most important thing. You just don't fall by the wayside and you give in to the opposition. And each and every player knows Prairie View like out the back of their hand. So that also helps, And for me, it was nice to see Corey and Harmeet at the end winning the game for the team. And it looks like they're doing pretty well at the moment as a group, And I think that helps too. Off the field, that's the most important thing. It's going to be a long couple of weeks for them. Got a couple of big games that they're playing in. But yeah, it was really good. The little bit that I did get to watch in the end, and that was something that I really enjoyed. And the guys that's not playing too, is also guys that can come in and contribute. And I think that's the beauty of the T20 format. Anybody can win. And we saw how the 50 over format, unfortunately, they got exposed quite a bit. But this format, they play this week in, week out, from club cricket all the way to these open tournaments and all of these things. So they're going to be a lot more switched on. For me, it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, you mentioned Corey Anderson, 34 off 25, and then Harmeet Singh, 33 from 13 in a match, player of the match winning performance. Also, the
Bowled
4
pretty
to win
well,
the game,
yeah.
bowled very well. You also mentioned guys who can come in. Nate, we didn't see Shadley Van Skolkvik in this match, and there's some problems with the pace bowling department in this game. Do you think he comes in match number 2?
I'd like to see it personally. I mean, Jesse started off with a bang with that maiden wicket over. Like, how often does that happen in T20 cricket, especially against a team like Bangladesh? But then, he got whacked around a little bit. In that middle overs period, in that 8-over period right in the middle, I think they gave up a total of 59 runs, and 29 of them were not Jesse Singh. Jesse Singh bowled 2 overs there. So he got expensive for those two, and we saw a couple of no balls, which that's Jesse's problem, but it was everyone's problem yesterday. But yeah, I mean, I think Jesse had a great start. I was super happy for him. Excellent delivery. But yeah, we want to see what we got right now. This is the purpose of this series. Let's see how Shadley does.
Yeah, I think Ali's got to play every game
Mm-hmm.
to get himself back into the swing of things. He's going to be a weapon for the US. He's played in all these leagues around the world, so he's got to play every game to get him in. The rotation comes in with Jesse and the multitude of spinners that the US have. It's nice to see Bob bowling, Stephen Taylor bowling. For me as an off spinner, the art doesn't die. It never dies. He came in, changed the game, and for me, he's a much better bowler than people make him out to be.
100%.
And he's just got to continue, because I think he'll be a weapon in the competition. If there's a couple of lefties in, he comes in. He's got orthodox action, but he's got good control, and I think that's going to be important if you play, like a ground at Dallas. So it just helps with the combination of the team. But they're in a good frame of mind, going into the competition.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Stephen Taylor's performance probably the most underrated one of yesterday. I got lost in the Corey Anderson and Harmeet Singh
always.
of the lot, but
It always happens. Trust me, it always happens.
But
I mean, 3 wickets and a run out. That's pretty good day in the field.
only gave up 9 runs with the ball in hand. I mean,
Incredible.
he changed the
Incredible.
game. So I think Stephen Taylor, you mentioned, he's going to be kind of that big player on both sides of the ball, right? Opening the batting with the left-hand batting, but then also with the ball in hand. You mentioned, I think he's gotten better and better as each year's gone
100%.
on. And off spinners always change the world, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do.
And we did
Well,
see
Ashwin bowled today in the IPL.
we did see he went a little slow, Stephen, with the bat.
Yeah.
28 off of 29, I think, something like that. But when he left after 8 overs, they were
In a good
60 for 2. They were in a perfect position.
I just think sometimes people, sitting on the outside, you're watching the game. Me personally, having played at Prairie View with a newer ball, does move around a little bit. It's not the easiest. So I think he managed that. I love the maturity of how he handled the innings. He didn't just give it away, and I think that's a sign of growth. And he played the situation really well, and that shows that he's in a good frame of mind, and really calm. Because when you go into these high pressure games, the India, the Pakistans, Ireland, you're gonna have to have a calm head. And one of the senior players in the team, you got to have that calm head to navigate everything around. Everything cannot be on the shoulders of Corey Anderson, Ali Khan. You're going to have Stephen Taylor step up, Aaron Jones step up even more, Nitish Kumar, like him in the middle order. Those are the type of guys that are not the big names, but they're going to have to step up and say, okay, he's someone that we can deal with in the middle.
And honestly, they didn't play the best game and they won.
Yeah.
And that's huge, I think,
Yeah.
because yes, we didn't see the best game from Bangladesh either. We know we're going to see a stronger effort from them in the next game for sure. But we're also hopefully going to see that stronger effort from USA.
Yeah.
And they didn't. For a while there, it looked like kind of like same old USA. Oh, yeah, they're going to lose when they had this great opportunity to win a big game. But no, it didn't happen. They fought back, and we had a couple of amazing efforts there at the end. And Harmeet just, I mean, how fantastic has he been, especially like the last 2 years with the bat?
Yeah. He's been good. I mean, he plays a certain way, and we know what you're going to get from Harmeet. So he's come in and he plays aggressively, and he lives by playing that way. And I think it's important that he continues to do that, because it lengthens the batting lineup, And if you have guys like Aaron Jones and Nitish Kumar that sets the game up, if you have Corey Anderson, Harmeet Singh, even Shadi van Schalkwyk to a certain extent, that can swing the willow around, it lengthens the batting lineup. If you look at like the West Indies team, for example, they got batting down to number 15.
So I mean, Australia the same way, right?
Australia the same way, South Africa too, to a certain extent. So that's how the team needs to be made up, and that's the most exciting part,
Right.
And they've got so many bowling options too, with the Aaron Jones bowl leg spin, Stephen Taylor bowls off spin. So there's so many options that they can go to, and that's the nice thing going into the tournament as an underdog, because everyone will be focusing on Corey Anderson, but the rest of the guys can play.
Yeah, you got nothing to lose. You mentioned lengthening that batting lineup. A guy not in the 11 today, yesterday was Shaheen Jahangir.
Yeah.
Right? This is a big name in the USA.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think a lot of people were surprised to not see him in the original squad that took on Canada. He's back in the squad. Do you see a fit for him in this team?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
see him
def-
finding a way into 11?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of options you can use him. He obviously opened for MI New York, and that was a good position for him. I think that is a position that he can play. But if you look at the top three, the way that the skipper's in there at the moment, Monang Patel's there. He's done well in the Canada series. You can't just leave him out. Andries Gous did well in the series. Steven Taylor's the senior player in the team. So that it's going to be difficult, but if he's comfortable with coming in facing spin from the get-go, I don't know how good his game against spin is. There's a slot number 4, 5. There's always going to be someone that's going to miss out, and unfortunately that's the way it is. I've had many of those moments in my career where they say, Dane, the pitch is green, you're not going to play. Off I go, do 5 days of carrying drinks. So I mean, it's hard, but you just got to keep training hard. And if your opportunity comes, you got to take it, because someone might tweak a calf muscle as the World Cup starts, and you're in, thinking that I wouldn't have played in the World Cup. But he's a good player, he's an X factor, and he's done well for the US team too. And he's a good team man, and those are the type of characteristics you're looking for these players.
Yeah. Nate, obviously, he's coming to bat at 7 in the one-day game. Do you think he can find that same kind of spot in T20? Do you think that 6-7
I think
rolls there
so.
for him?
I think he can do it. Absolutely. I think he's got the right attitude. I think when you bat at that type of a role, you know this better than I do for sure. When you bat in that type of role, you just have to understand that you know what your job is. You have to have the right intent, and you got to understand you're going to fail sometimes. Yeah. And it's a lot like being a death bowler. You just have to bounce back the next day. If you do happen to fail, bounce back and don't fail the next day. You know, I think that he's got the type of attitude. I believe he can handle that.
Well, we'll see what changes the USA make in their match tomorrow and see if they can get back-to-back wins. I think that'd be pretty historic. Peter Della Penna said it, I think, best. In 2021, it was Ireland. In 2024, it's Bangladesh. 2 full-member nations falling to the USA in T20 cricket. Pretty impressive.
Does it seem like it's been that long? Aaman, does it seem like it's been that long?
It feels pretty long for me, Nate. Back in 2021, I just graduated high school. I've graduated college now,
so it's a bigger percentage
of
your life.
Yeah,
than it was
maybe that's what it is, the youth.
It's like 1% of my life. It's like 45% of yours. Yeah.
45% is a lot. Well, moving on, we'll talk about some other stuff in the World Cup. Sandeep Lamashame, he got his verdict overturned in Nepal. He's cleared to play, but he can't come to the U.S. His visa isn't being cleared. Any reactions? We'll start with you, Nate.
I think it's hilarious, actually. I mean, it's funny. He tweeted about how so many fans are going to be disappointed and stuff like that. He was here hiding out from Interpol. He was trying to escape arrest by hiding out in Florida. USA's not going to let you back in if you do that. You're just not going to get a
cricket, to be honest.
They don't care about, even if they did care about cricket, even if Virat Kohli did what he had done, he's not going to get in that easily on that short notice, that easily on a visa. It's just
to Morrisville, he could walk in easily, but not into the US.
different border laws here in Morrisville.
100%.
But I guess that's any other thoughts for you guys on that?
Nah,
I mean,
really.
It's
unlucky.
Well, I mean, I think they've saved a lot of people in awkward situations.
Sure.
Because you're going to have a situation there where you play against Nepal, and this is a difficult topic because you get into all types of intersections with this topic. You get into obviously, violent physical assault or, sexual assault. You get into that, and then you get into the intersection of hey, we're the West, and we're talking about the corruption based on the corruption of the courts there, and what do we know about that? I don't know anything about that. I don't know how legit this thing is or isn't. So I think what it's done is it's kind of just saved a lot of people the trouble of having to figure this out, what their opinion is. And I know a lot of people were considering, maybe not shaking hands with him afterwards, and now they don't even have to worry about it.
Right. Well, we'll see how that story continues to unfold, if there are any new wrinkles that are added. But speaking of stories with new wrinkles, we got Dane Piedt in the building. I guess that's a story to talk about, right? I mean, Dane, your story's kind of gone international, right? I want you to take us back. Obviously, the Pfeiffer and everything happened, but I want you to take us back to that moment you made that decision, right? For those of you who don't know, Dane was here. He was here for about 2 or 3 years.
I'm still here.
You were coming to play eligible cricket here.
This is my 4th year into the US.
Right.
Yeah.
So and then kind of make the decision to go back to South Africa. Walk me through when that decision took place and why that decision took place.
You want to say anything, Nate?
No,
No?
you were just about to be eligible for USA
Yeah,
selection.
yeah. So I was eligible the day I flew back to South Africa to play for the US. But it was pretty, simple for me to make the decision. There was a lot of things that happened with MLC that wasn't made public, to be honest. And I've kept really quiet about it for a long time. But getting the text message from the head coach from South Africa, Shukri Conrad, who I knew from 18 years old as a net bowler at the Cape Cobras, and he's the test match coach now. He reached out to me and said if I'm interested to play for South Africa again, and I really thought he was taking it taking a joke, because that's the type of personality I am. And I said no, what's going on? Because I didn't know the issues that were going on with the SA20 and the basically double booking the players. And he said no, we're gonna have to get a makeshift team with players that's not available, but with you being available to play for South Africa, are you keen on doing it? So I said, listen, I'm about to be eligible to play for the US, but there's a couple of issues that's happened in MLC. They basically, put it mildly, they screwed us over with our contracts. We were supposed to be paid up until the end of November, which was the end of my third year of the contract, but it was basically short notice. We were told that by the end of May or the start of May, our contracts will be done. That was our annual contract that we signed, and unfortunately, it was basically just said, listen, you got to go out, you'll get your major league money, but after that, we'll no longer pay you guys, and you'll have to be eligible to play for the US, and in order to do that, you make yourself eligible to play in the major league by making yourself eligible to play for the US.
And for those that don't know, that means you have to be in the USA basically
10 months.
30 of the last 36 months.
100%. So I was doing that up until that point where everyone was, and then two gentlemen at MLC set up a Zoom call. I won't say their names. Set up a Zoom call and basically put down on the Zoom call that this is what your potential earnings will be, and this is what your earnings will be through Major League. So it's basically, you could have basically just put the lotto down there. You put the national lottery down there, because I also have a 1% chance of winning the lottery, basically. So they basically painted a picture of the local ecosystem. You can do coaching, you can do open tournaments, and they said this is your potential earnings you could make. And that was an easy decision for me to make, because I felt that, giving my time to MLC and all of this, and now getting the opportunity to go play for South Africa, it was really easy for me. Obviously, there was a lot of things that, I had to speak to my wife to see if everything's fine. Ended up going back to South Africa without my family, because it happened in the space of a week. I've literally emailed the CEO of MLC while I was on the flight flying back to South Africa, saying, listen, I'm done. I get to South Africa and make myself eligible to play for the Proteas again, because I was on the path to play for the US. So just before we took off, a couple of emails from Cricket South Africa basically stated you have to play for South Africa. In order to play South Africa, I have to play domestic cricket in South Africa, which I did. I signed for a couple of games to play for the Knights, which is out in Bloemfontein, where the Under 19 World Cup was.
Yep. I remember the videos you sent us.
Yeah.
How cool was that?
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was cool. And the US team was there, so obviously I know Utkarsh, and I think it's just him I know from the Under 19 team. Yeah. And I was there in Bloemfontein, took a 5 in the second innings of the first game back in 4-day cricket. My body was in pieces, obviously. I'm 34 years old now. At the time, 33. Played my 2 4-day games, and then got selected to play in the SAA game. SAA series against the West Indies A. Did pretty well in that, and then came back for Christmas to the US, got selected to play for South Africa into the New Zealand series. Yeah. So to answer your question, it was pretty easy for me to go back, because I felt hard done by the local the MLC Major League Cricket and ACE American Cricket Enterprises for basically turning their back. There was obviously a lot of things that we had to pay for, our rent and all of this, so it was a bit of a hustle, But thankfully, my wife, supported us through the situation. My boy was probably just over a year at the time. So it was a bit of a hustle, and I know the guys are still going through a hustle now. But it is what it is at the end of the day. I don't communicate with him. I haven't communicated with him at all because that's just my personality. I was actually ignoring Samir Mehta a lot during the competition because I felt like there was no communication from them. So yeah, that was from him, the big boss, actually getting us in here. So yeah, it is what it is. I've moved on, and I'm enjoying life right now. Playing cricket, back and forth. But yeah, making it work. And it's been a lot of fun, to be honest.
And my big question: are you going to be back here for minor league
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year?
definitely,
Okay.
definitely,
Because we know that
definitely. But I suspect
your status has changed. So
Yes,
you'd have to be
yes,
an
yes,
international.
yes. But I suspect the locals or the committee or the board of minor league or MLC will probably try to make it a bit difficult for me. But being a green card holder, hopefully I can still play. I'm still very committed to playing for the Raptors. I think my story is not done, especially in the ecosystem and the amount of talent that we do have here. The Anshrais, the Utkarshs, the Abiram Bolesetis. The names are plenty.
Right.
Talks of Aaron Jones playing for us now. We got Devon Griffith here. We got a coach Crandon. And there's a lot of people involved that I still want to be involved in. Sanjay Stanley, all of these kids coming through.
Sure.
So I still want to make a change, and I think there is a lot of opportunity and a lot of talent to go further.
Right.
So if we get the management sorted, I think we'll be in a good position to compete.
I think that this area, people really underestimate how creative you can get in this area
Yes.
with
Yes.
minor league cricket and
Yes.
how good it can actually be here and how it can be a model for the rest of the country.
Yes.
Especially if we can work in some major league affiliations and things like that.
100%.
But Dane, we know that you're a big, you're a coach around here. You help out with the kids. You teach them a lot about cricket. You're a leader. You're a leader with the Morrisville Raptors. What I saw with you in South Africa during the test, in New Zealand, the test that where you had one of the best spin figures that there's ever been down there. But the thing that I noticed that didn't shock me at all, that carried over to the test team, was how you appeared to be a leader there as well.
Yeah.
And everybody talked about, they're sending essentially a B team down to New Zealand. You almost beat them.
Yeah, no. The funny thing about it was, after we got the whooping in Tauranga at the Mount Maunganui, the coach Shukri Khan said, I'm a big football guy, soccer guy.
Yeah.
And big soccer guy, and he said in the media that it feels like we are Burnley Football Club in England.
Sure.
Are playing against Liverpool every week. So Liverpool's a big club, we Burnley.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I basically took offense to that, that quote. And I didn't play the first test match because of the conditions and all of that. And we had this whole heart-to-heart out on the middle of the field, and we spoke about, what the expectation is to play for South Africa. And there is still obviously an expectation,
Of course.
because the badge still stays the badge, And what stuck with me when we walked out the dressing room, Shukri said, just remember the Proteas lost today. And I think that hit home to the guys because they thought we're the second team, we're the makeshift team, whatever it was. And for me, like you said, I was still a leader within the group because that's my personality. And I've probably played the most amount of first-class matches in that dressing room.
Right.
So it was important for me to come across and say, guys, we've got to believe in ourselves in order to, win the game. And I'm a type of guy that speaks, but I also try and do it as much as I can. So we were having the heart-to-heart, and I just said, guys, there's an expectation of you to play this game. You have an expectation of yourself. People out there have expectation on you. So come to terms with that and walk onto the field and play your best game. Simple as that. And I think that helped us in that game because they stuck us into bat and the game was slow. So it allowed us to get, to just creep ourselves into the game. And I think the first innings was a perfect example with us with the ball. We just got a couple of wickets and things happened, and we were so happy to get Kane out. I was running. The funny story is I ran. As I jumped in the air, my calf pulled a bit tight. And then I straight away called the physio on. I got some electrolytes into my system. But just to make sure the guys know that they keep believing and have to believe.
Yeah.
Because they, as human as we are, don't play the situation. Because I did that in the first part of my test career. You sort of get, overawed by the situation and who you're playing against instead of playing your game, because they select you to play your game.
Right.
So that was a lot of fun for me, being around in the dressing room. And it was a great bunch of guys because we played the West Indies series with everybody. So it was just an extension of that,
Right.
And that for me was the best part of the whole tour, because we knew each other and we knew how to be on tour with the guys, and what makes the next guy tick.
Yep.
And for me that was a lot of fun. And New Zealand's a beautiful country, good food, good beer after the game. All
That's
of
the
those
important
things.
part,
That's
right?
the important part. Yeah. So it's a beautiful country, and for me I had so much fun touring and just getting back, because it was emotional time for me too, because I was driving in the bus to the ground, and I just thought to myself, like, the journey I've taken to get to this point, it was amazing, and to get an opportunity to play a test match for your country again, it was pretty cool.
First one with your son, though, too, right?
Yeah, first one with my son
talk to me about
too.
that.
Yeah, that was cool, because he was around the field, and seeing him was like, it was so cool, because I was like, that's my son, right? And having him born in January of 2021, I think, 2021, right? Or 22, I don't know, whatever year he was. He's 2.5 now. He's 2.5 years
Do
old
the math
now.
at home. guys. Do the
Yeah,
math at home.
so, having him born and seeing him, I've never thought that you would be able to see your dad play a test match live. You will never remember it, but just to have him there, it's like, this is what I'm doing for now, right?
Right.
It's not for a 5-wicket haul.
Sure.
My 5-wicket haul is still in my cricket bag. The ball is, and the stump is in my cricket bag at the bottom of my bag.
Right.
It's him, It's
Right.
that's the you want to make him proud one day, So hopefully he won't grow up one day and tell his friends, my dad's a bum sitting at home with a big beer belly.
He's got the video
he actually,
footage now.
Yeah, he's actually. I was actually there. I was 2 years old, and that's to make family, and especially immediate family like my son, to make him proud of the performance, because
Sure.
when I got the 5 out, my wife and my son was there, and while I was doing an interview, he kept shouting "da da da da." I walked over, and he was, so happy to see me, and all of the emotion of what I just did came back, and I was like, I'm looking at my son now, and you just forget about what you did on the day,
Sure.
because I still got back to the hotel room, and my wife said, I was with him the whole day. It's your turn now. so I still went back there. I had to bath him. I had to do all of these things. But, it just gave me more perspective.
Sure.
Having a son, and actually just, cricket was just my job that I did for 8 hours. Came
Right.
back. And he doesn't know what I did
Right.
Sure.
on that day, And that for me hit home more than anything. And that's what I try to explain to the guys in that heart-to-heart, There's more to life than just cricket. Give your best performance. I promise you, people will abuse you on every social media platform if you do badly, right? And I told my friends that this is the most love I've got on social media for my whole life, like my whole professional career. And that was pretty cool.
I actually sent you a video because I recorded the TV
Yes.
when I saw you
Yes.
with your family.
Yes,
And
yes.
I thought it was great that
That was early hours in the US too, huh?
it was yeah.
We were texting around the whole
we
time.
we were
My
watching.
roommate in college is like, he's a late. He sleeps very late. So it's
Yeah.
like 3 in the morning. He's like, why are you still up? I'm like, my
We were
guy's
going-
my boy's bowling right now.
we were going back and forth via text. It was great, and but I just remember thinking this got to be so special for you,
Yeah, it's amazing.
and it was great to see. To me, you had to back yourself to be in that situation. You were sacrificing a lot. You were risking.
Yes, I was
you were
risking
risking
a
a
lot,
lot
yeah. I was
because
risking a
you
lot,
were
yeah.
risking your USA
eligibility
eligibility
for the
completely.
World Cup
You were
and all of that, yeah.
days away. You were
Yes, I
there. You
was.
were there. And personally, I think you would have been in the ODI squad pretty quick. If we had a meritocratic way of going about things.
I got a message from one of the selectors. Is it Vic? I think. a South African guy.
Yeah, Michael.
Yes, Michael. Yeah, I got a message from him on when I got selected to go back, and he said the same thing. Like he was excited to get me in. But I mean, like you said, I risked a lot to to take that decision.
Yeah, you did.
And obviously setting up a life in the US, but now it's like back and forth and all of that. So.
What's it like going back and forth, having to kind of
Yeah,
be
it's
away?
hard. It's hard. I mean, I was away from my family after New Zealand because I had to go back to South Africa and basically complete my eligibility and play the domestic season out.
Sure.
So my family flew back from Auckland all the way back to RDU, and then I flew to South Africa back from New Zealand, and then I was away from them for about 5 weeks, and then only after that I came back. So yeah, it's not easy. And like we say, we call it the Piedt roller coaster at home. And my wife is, she's very supportive of what I do, and that makes my job a whole lot easier, because she sees the end goal as well. So it's been pretty hectic, to be honest. But it is what it is, My career is only a couple of years left in my career, so I'm still trying to enjoy it as much as I can. And I've enjoyed this part of my career more than any other part of it, which is pretty cool.
What do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Why do you think you enjoyed this part?
Because I'm just playing with a lot more freedom,
Sure.
and more perspective on life. Having a son now and being more settled in my life, type of thing. A lot older. I used to be a bit of a hothead, so I'm a lot calmer now. I think things through before I make a decision, and just trying to give my best every single time. And trying to be a sort of a better human being to the next person, in the sense of if they're looking up to you, it needs to be that person,
Right.
that they're looking up to. You don't want to be that person. Shouldn't be disappointed in Dane when they get to meet Dane, because
Sure.
I also had heroes when I grew up, and when I met my heroes, I was a bit disappointed, and it shouldn't be that way, It should never be that way,
Yeah.
It should be when I meet Dane, it's actually like, oh, this is pretty cool,
Sure.
This is what I actually expected him to be like.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's given me the perspective of how I'm playing my game at the moment. And
Right. And fairly fearless, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You don't look like you have a
Extremely.
concern in the world. And
No.
you mentioned belief, how important that is. You could feel it through the TV watching your team, watching South Africa. You believed that you were going to win the game. Everybody believed you were still in it, and you were still in it for such a long time. And even towards the end there, one wicket falls. The right wicket falls.
We just needed
you can
Kane
break
out,
through.
and then the game changes.
Exactly. And he was
Yeah,
good. He was
yeah.
good.
But it's just like everything that I've gone through in the US, and and then it comes full circle to being at Hamilton,
Yeah.
bowling in a test match. You think to yourself like, this was worth it. Turning my back on the US in the sense of getting so close to qualifying, and possibly being involved in a system, a different system,
Sure.
and trying to get exposed to it and see what I can do with it. And Aaron Jones keeps telling me, man, I wish you were still involved. I wish you were still involved. But it's like, it is what it is,
Right.
And I've made the decision, and I'm happy. I mean, a lot of people will be like, oh, you should have done this. But I mean, I've played 10 test matches for South Africa.
Yeah.
I got 2 5-wicket hauls. I got a test 50. I got 34 test wickets. And me growing up where I'm from, I shouldn't have been in this position. Even living in the US. The US is always you see it on TV. So
Right.
I'm living a it's a bit of a fairy tale, but it's been pretty cool.
It's been great having you here for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
It's I thought after that test, I was like, man, we're never gonna see him again.
No. It's not a fair
He's
one
somebody.
at all.
Look at there goes somebody
Yeah.
that we used to know.
My son's like you. He's American. I can't take
I
it
know.
away. I
I
can't
just-
take him away from his country of birth.
Yeah, I don't believe that. But PJ has a question here. He wants to know. Well, PJ, you must have just tuned in here because we did mention this a minute ago. But I guess you can go in more detail. He wants to know, PJ Hodels.
Yes.
He wants to know, Dane, how was Bloom Vegas?
Bloom Vegas is it's
Is that an official term?
No, we call
Okay.
it Bloom Vegas,
Okay.
especially the Cape Town boys, because so Cape Town is like flashy, the ocean. It's very touristy. It's got Table Mountain. It's got a lot of things to do. Great wine farms. Like,
Sure.
you could buy a bottle of wine for $4 or $5. It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
and then Bloemfontein is an absolute, you know,
The opposite.
it's I could say it in a better way, but it's not great, you know.
There we go.
It's where Oberspinne is from, and undisclosed.
Oh well, that says
Corne
it all.
Dry. So it's in the north of South Africa. It was good to a certain extent. I mean, the guys really looked after me. But yeah, it's something to get used, because I'm from Cape Town, so
Sure.
I grew up that way. But I enjoyed it. The people love to braai barbecue there.
Oh, man.
Yeah. The
Perfect.
braai, and there's a lot of brandy. So I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a good time. The people make it work there, and I know it's humble. It's a bit like North Carolina, to be honest.
That's
Well,
nice.
There's a town in North Carolina, Greenville, North Carolina, where ECU
Yes,
is.
yes.
My grandfather lives there, and all his buddies
Okay.
call it G Vegas. So I don't know if you want to
yeah,
make it out there
yeah,
too,
it's
but
exactly
there
like
you
that. So that's the term. That's the term we come up with. We call it Bloem Vegas, just because there's nothing to do there,
Yep.
basically. So that's why we call it Bloem Vegas.
Nice.
And it's a lot of fun.
Nice. That's great. Also, you got to see Shamar Joseph in that warm-up tour. My goodness.
Yeah. He burst onto the scene, and then we in South Africa, to call a security guard like a short name for security guard is Secure, right?
Mhm.
That's the nickname.
Yep.
And we started calling him Secure because we found out about where he came from, and we found that pretty cool, you know.
Right.
And I'll never forget the second game. I was bowling pretty well in the second game, getting the ball to spin, and he was batting. And he faces the first ball, comes down the pitch, and he's like, you know what, Dane, you never go away. So I said, no, I'm going to be here the whole day. I'm bowling. Like, this is my job, you know. And he says, that's the way I play my game. After the game, we spoke, and he was like, that's the way I play my game. Because, you know, maybe a year ago, I wasn't in this position. You know, and now he takes it with open arms, and he enjoys it. But he is a serious competitor.
Man.
So for us, that was in New Zealand, played against the West Indies A, we knew what he was about.
Right.
But we were seeing what the world saw, it was unraveling right in front of our eyes.
Right.
Awesome.
Right? And we were like, we literally just played against him.
That's
know?
right. Because
And
right after that, he exploded
Yeah.
onto the
Exploded,
national
yeah.
Because he
international
bowled
scene.
quickly, but he
Yeah.
didn't get a lot of wickets, right?
Right.
He
Mm.
bowled slightly short. So in South Africa, you need to bowl slightly fuller, you know, to get the results. And he bowled slightly short, so it was easier to play. It wasn't easy because he was still coming through. He was still bowling, you know, pretty quick. And then we saw him in Brisbane, and we were like, wow, he's bowling quickly. And we were like, this is impressive, because this is what we saw, but now we're seeing a man completely winning a test match for his
Right.
country.
Yeah, he was incredible.
And the way he ran it, because he is
Oh,
supremely
man.
fit.
yeah.
I mean, his muscles are bulging out of his shirt. He's got a six-pack. Like, he comes in, he runs in, and he gives everything, you know.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to Coach Crandon, who I work with, and he was like, he's from the country, so they eat all natural things, you know. It's not like he says, as they say, that he's not a city boy, so he doesn't know about this takeout culture and all of this. So
He's on that Dr. Sebi diet.
yeah, so he's physically in supreme condition, you know, and it was nice to see him, and then all of a sudden just take off in his career, which is pretty cool.
Test
Yeah.
cricket seems to be just telling stories in 2024, huh?
Yeah, test cricket's cool, man. I mean, it's 5 days. We're not allowed our cell phones during a test match, so you hear stories, and you know, you're around the guys. And I mean, New Zealand was amazing. The guys are a great bunch of guys. They were very welcoming. Had a couple of beers with them afterwards too. So whatever, like Corey Anderson, for example, was a Kiwi that I got to know pretty close, and sitting with a bunch of them in the room, it was like cool. And then getting to see Devon Conway after so many years,
Sure.
it was also pretty cool. He gave me one of his playing shirts, which I have at home now, because we came up together in
Right.
the domestic scene. And then he reminded me, I forgot, he said, you know, the last time you got me out, we played at the Wanderers. You got me out twice in a 4-day game, and now you got me out in this test match again. But a great guy, and we just, you know, we spoke about those stories and the memories, you know, and those are the things I will hold on for the rest of my life. I won't worry about the 5-wicket hauls and things like
Sure.
that. Just the friendships you make.
The 5-wicket hauls keep you around, though.
100%.
Yeah.
Friendships like these, you know, friendships like these,
Yeah.
you know, in America. I mean, who would have thought, you know, speaking about cricket in America,
There
just,
you go.
you know.
PJ also asked about, he said when you like to hide the ball in your run-up in T20s, but when you bowl more orthodox in the longer formats. Is there a reason why he's asking?
Yeah, just a bit of a change up, to be honest. The traditional Dane is a big believer, like all the off spinners that are carrying the mantle. They're getting a bit older now in Ashwin and Lyon. And before we had Graham Swan and Harbhajan and all of those guys. Sakleen Mushtaq is my idol.
Yeah.
That I looked at growing up. They believe in bowling a good shape on the ball, and in the longer format, if you saw in the test match, I consistently worked on trying to bowl that, because that's what put a roof over my head, being a cricketer, and I continue to do that. So T20 for me, I did that for a couple of seasons, hit the ball, because that traditional shape gets hit. That gets it 400 feet, boss. That gets it a long way, So just a sort of change up, trying to evolve my game, and I've worked hard on bowling the carom ball now. So that's come into my game too, in the longer format, and that's what, to be brutally honest, the US has helped me with, because I had to evolve into a T20 cricketer or bowler,
Right.
and stealing with the eye and things like that. So that is something that I just added into my game, and for me, it was a lot of fun, trying these new things.
Right.
And going back, like I told Aaman off air, like my body was in peace. I was nowhere near ready to play 4-day cricket, but thankfully, the shape on the ball never left, and that was something I could always go back to.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what I was comfortable with, and that's why I enjoyed the Kane Williamson dismissal as much as I did, because that's what got the wicket.
Right.
And after 4 years of not playing red ball cricket, it happens, and you're like, I still got it. I still got it.
I remember Ashwin talked about his carom and how it took him 18 months to develop it.
It's not easy, yeah. So if you look at my fingers now, this finger's skew from bowling, and I've got a big callus here. So this top knuckle takes a beating with a carom ball, because you actually have to physically push the ball out the front of the hand. So it's all about, just trying to evolve. And I actually sat with a squash ball first to get the feeling and the motion, then a tennis ball to see the ball actually physically spinning the other way, and then the cricket ball. So it's not easy, and he's the guy that I steal a lot of things from, because we spoke about it in India, and he flicks the ball out the bottom, so it looks like he bowls us a lot now. It looks like an off spinner, but it actually swings in.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things that he's evolved his game onto, and I'm like, why couldn't I do it? I'm gonna try it,
Yeah.
And then thankfully it worked, and it's still working, and I still bowl it pretty often. Kane Williamson picks it easily though.
Yeah. So you were talking about how playing here has helped. Is that just because the volume of T20 we
Yes.
play?
Yes,
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
Easy answer, spot on, because you don't want to get beat every week by bowling the same, stock standard delivery.
Yep.
You need to change your line. You need to go slightly wider, slightly slower. You want to go a straighter line, spinning the ball away. And it's cat and mouse. As a spinner, we're the smart guys. The
Yeah.
fast bowlers just run in and they try to bowl as quick as possible. But we can't do that. We
Right.
got to outthink the batsman and try to bowl something different. Carom ball this way. Undercutter this way. Slider that way. Big spinner, off spinner. Change our lengths.
Yeah.
Because now you see in T20 cricket, bowlers that used to bowl back of a length, that was the length that we always spoke about, trying to bowl the ball into the hip. That's no longer the delivery.
Yeah.
They're bowling fuller, because all these big batters are hitting that ball for six. So the Heinrich Klaasens, the Andre Russells, they're training to hit that back of a length ball for six. But now when you're bowling slightly fuller, they can't hit that ball because the weight is going back. So that's how the cat and mouse and the ebbs and flows through the years of, now we're seeing 280s and 270s,
Yeah.
So
crazy.
it just keeps changing. So you got to change with the times, and even the best have to do it. And that's the beauty of cricket,
Yeah.
to be honest. All the different formats and all the way you approach the different formats, that changes, and that's the beauty of it, to be honest.
Well, some test matches coming in 2024. What are you looking most forward to, as you said, on along your next journey?
Yeah, I think just trying to prolong my career to the best of, finish off like I started, because all my debuts, this is something that I'm proud of. All the debuts that I've made, first class cricket, I got 7 for 90. my one-day debut, I got 3 for 22. And my test match debut, I got man of the match, 8 for 100.
Wicket on the first ball too.
Wicket on the first ball too. So that's the way I started, but I want to finish the same way. So I want to be remembered as someone that played the game with no fear, had a lot of fun on and off the field. And for me, I've probably got another 3-4 years maybe left of playing, but I want to, hopefully get back to South Africa, play a couple of domestic summers out there, and then hopefully play, a couple of test matches more for South Africa, because I know I've put my name in the hat again. I know there's a West Indies tour coming up and Bangladesh after that in October. So there's a lot of cricket coming up for me. And the way I've been, playing, I put my name back in the hat again to be selected. So I just want to play the game, like I said earlier, with a bit more perspective on life, and trying to be that guy where, like, if a kid sees, oh, that's Dane, that is the Dane that he hoped to meet one day. It's got nothing to do with performances on the field. I think that's where I am in my life at the moment.
Great. You weren't here until minor league was about to kick off, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you've seen 3 years of minor league.
Yep.
So you don't really know what it was like before minor league. You got probably a good idea what it was like before. But those 3 years, how much do you think minor league cricket has helped
Tons.
the whole country,
Tons.
cricket in the USA?
Tons.
I feel like it's the most important part of cricket in the USA right now.
Me too. That's why I don't want to just, people will say, oh, he wants to make a bit of money and all that. But money is not, the forefront of my life, I want to make sure that the guys play the game in the right way. Because me growing up in South Africa, I was always told by coaches that there is a standard of cricket that is required, there's a standard that you need to play at, right? And if you are not going to try and catch up to play at that standard, the game's just going to kick you to the side. So it's my responsibility within this area to try and pass that onto the next generation, And I'm a guy that believes in players a lot, and I give them opportunities, and I try to pass on the next, the next generation with valuable information that they can take away. A guy, Ansh Rai, is the best spinner in the best youth spinner in the country at the moment, right? He could possibly be the best cricketer because the way he thinks the game, right? And that is what this area has, So minor league gives those kids an opportunity to hone their skill. So once they go up to the next level, it's not a surprise to be like, oh, this is my expectation. It's like, oh, this is how Dane, Aaron Jones, Devon Griffith, this is how we play at the Raptors. So this is not going to be a surprise to me.
Sure, absolutely.
It's not coming to the ground for the 10 o'clock start. You're not coming to the ground at 9:40, swing your hamstrings up and down, and then you go onto the field to play. No, you get there at 8:30, right? You have a discussion, you chill with your teammates, and you start warming up by 9:15, and then you're ready to play the game. Because when you go to the US, when you go to whatever standard of cricket you're going to play, that's the standard and the expectation. So that's why I believe that the minor league is the most important part within cricket in the US. And trying to get more games on turf and the stadium and all of those are the nice things that come from major league. Yes, kids need to have an end goal. I want to play in the major league, and that for me is important. That's why it's not for me to be like, oh, I'm done, not really interested. I can make a bit of money here, make a bit of money there. I'm not really about that. I just want to see players improve, and that's what I'll do if I go back to South Africa. That's the same standard that I will want to push over, because I believed when I came through when I was 18, 19, a lot of the senior players that I played with would pass on that information.
Right.
So it's my responsibility to be the change, So that's why I want to, pass on that knowledge, because there's so much talent in this area.
Yeah, there is, and in the country in general. And
in the country in general,
you mentioned Ansh. When you first got here, he was the first cricketer I asked you about.
Yeah.
When you just started coaching the kids, because I love watching the kid. You could tell he's so enthusiastic. He just loves
and the way
cricket.
I described him, I used explicits. I was like, how the hell are you bowling at 13 or 14 years old. How
Yeah,
are
no,
you bowling like this?
And
Incredible.
it's a beautiful
incredible.
action.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's repetitive. It's
Yeah.
consistent. It's just, it's just like, I was like, wow,
Yep.
okay. And I'm like, this is a guy that I want to take under my wing because I can see the potential of him being a really good cricketer.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got about 295 million left-arm spinners in this country.
we do. We do.
And
Which is why I think I told you. Oh no, keep him doing wrist spin, and you were like, no.
no chance. Because what he does with his action and his shape is just, it's natural.
Yep.
And the conversations. He's a good listener, so he's always listening to what I do. And we've tweaked his action a little bit this winter. And I think you're going to see a better version of Ange, not only
Can't wait.
in the youth version, but in the minor league too.
Is he ready for minor league?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
We're
cool. There we
going to
go.
Atlanta tomorrow. He's the captain of the academy team, so giving him a bit of responsibility too doesn't hurt, But I think he's just a phenomenal cricketer.
Any other guys under the age of 17 or so in the USA that really stand out to you that aren't in Morrisville?
That's a tough one for me. I can tell you after this
Up in
weekend,
DC,
maybe.
you were in DC for a while.
Wesley Jackson. What a talent.
Heard a lot
What a
about him.
talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, the surprising part, he's a white American, and he plays cricket.
I remember I was umpiring
Yeah.
one of these, I think minor league youth championships, and he comes in a bowl. I expected maybe no, it's just
No.
and he comes in nice little in swing.
And I think
He's
was-
always been tall. I mean, I was 6 foot tall. He's 6'3" at 13 or whatever.
Yeah, no. So I did coach him a little bit, actually. Yeah, thanks, Nate. You gave me a reminder. I'm still in contact with Jason, his dad, and Wesley too. Great family, great people. And the way he got into cricket was at a big Southeast Asian population at the school.
Right.
And they were playing cricket during the break time. And Wesley walked over like, what is this? Because he plays basketball.
Yeah.
He's center. He's center,
Yeah.
obviously. And he plays baseball. And he played all these sports. And then all of a sudden, he takes up cricket. And, the first time I threw to him, he just beat the ball through the leg side. Like, naturally. Like, you could see he's got a good hand-eye. And then we started tweaking his action. Obviously, I left because MLC wanted me to move here. But he's an exceptional talent. Someone to look out for the future. Trying to think about the DC area. Ritwik Pereira obviously was young when I moved there. Ishan Sharma too when I moved there. I was just surprised because I was not as good at cricket at the age that Ansh was at. I only started bowling spin at 15, right? So I was a seamer, I was a batter. I could bat a bit. I mean, not as talented as these kids, And that for me it's surprising because all they need is game awareness and a multitude of people around them to try and guide them in the right direction, And that always surprised me about these kids because you can see they come from good homes too. They listen well. They're very polite. And the best thing is you can be honest with them, because they're quite mature for their age. That's what the biggest thing in the US about kids is they're very mature. So you can be honest and say, listen, we need to work on this. You're not fit enough. This. 2 months later, you see the change, And those are the kids that are wired differently. And that's Ansharai, Ritwik Pereira, and those Wesley Jackson, He's doing a gym program now. So he sees the potential, And he's just physically a big boy, but he's wired properly,
Right.
It's a pity he supports the Commanders, but that's for another that's for another day. But he's really talented, and that's also a guy to look out for the future.
Right.
Cricket's never gonna die in this country. I've come to that realization. It's not gonna die. It's only gonna get bigger and better. The kids in the academy are speaking about, oh my word, I can't wait for MLC. They're bringing cricket back to Morrisville. I'm so happy about it.
We're thrilled. We're thrilled.
Yeah, and they're like, Coach Dane, can you please get tickets? I haven't saved up enough money. It was $75 last year. It's $200 this year for the tickets because they buy a package. They want to watch all the games. And I was like, it's so cool to hear because that's the conversations that you have in South Africa, in England, in Australia, in India, because that's cricket playing nations. But now you're in a cricket community where people are like, it's coming back,
Yeah.
And these are not only the boys, the girls too.
Yeah.
Halima, she's very excited for it to come, and she's also supremely talented, and she's like, oh, it's coming back. I can't wait to watch. And they just, they know all the rosters, word for word, even the local players. And it's like, and that's how it's not about being a celebrity, but that's how you become a local celebrity as a cricketer. Young kids, Yasser Mohammed, for example. People in Morrisville might not have heard of him, or on the West Coast would never have heard of him, right? But now it's like he's playing for the Washington Free. There must be something about him,
right.
Right.
So that's the cool thing, and it's like, it's a blessing in disguise for me, not being a local player anymore. It gives an opportunity to Akhilesh Pogadam or Yasser Mohammed.
Sure.
So I can sit on the outside and see. Okay.
And you can join us for our shows.
Yeah, yeah, that's also true. That's also true. But it'll be cool to just see it. Like, it's like, oh, that's this is what the vision of cricket is. And money aside and all of that, all of that other politics that happened in the past aside. Like, this is the vision, and it's it's becoming something.
Exactly. And I think that this win yesterday against Bangladesh kind of shows that off a little bit. We had some players who made major contributions who wouldn't be here otherwise, and who have contributed in the community. We've seen Harmeet's contributions throughout all of minor league cricket.
And in in the academy, the guys are speaking about it.
Absolutely.
And like, that's what it's supposed to be.
Well, he's always had a reputation too for being. I mean, if you follow cricket in the USA as closely as we do, minor league especially,
he's been dominant.
You know that Harmeet's coming up. Oh, he's going to be eligible soon. We've been talking about Harmeet for a long time, and he comes through yesterday like we know he's capable of.
But exactly, and that's how the game's gonna grow. If people know about you, if people are like, oh, did you see today? Like yesterday in the academy, it was like, oh, the US won. And then the guy was like, oh, I was at school. I couldn't find the link because obviously at school the laptop everything's blocked off. And then the one Nitish said, oh, coach, I could watch. All I told the lady in my best Indian accent, but teacher in the best Indian accent, this is part of Indian heritage. And then the teacher was like, okay, I can't stop that. I'll let you watch it. So yeah, it's growing. I mean, it's a lot of excitement, and through winter it gets really quiet in this area because there's no cricket. That's why I say they need to build a Six Flags somewhere, so people can actually get out and enjoy it.
Six Flags is closed in the winter too.
That is true. But some theme park,
just more Frankies.
Just something, something where the kids can get away from cricket. But now you can see, like, the hype around cricket with MiLC coming, the World Cup coming. People want to go to New York. Oh, I've got a family member there. Coach Dane, can you organize tickets to get to the game? I was like, nah, I've got nothing. I got like nothing. I can speak to the guys when they come. I can see what I can do, but I mean, I can't promise anything, So
it's an exciting time. Kareem Agor was on was on the show.
Yes, I know.
He said that Morrisville's the only place in the country where you can go and everybody knows who you are.
Yes.
Like when you're at the ground, people know who you are. They know what you do.
At Walmart too, they know who you are. At Shiloh Glen, they know who you are.
Shiloh Glen and everything. Exciting times in the USA. Dane, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, it was good.
Nate, as always, thank you for joining us. Everyone who tuned in, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you tune in on our social medias, Big Innings. You can find us everywhere, X, Instagram, wherever it goes. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to Babar Beg, who was our producer, director, extraordinaire behind the scenes. Couldn't do anything without him. For myself, for Dane, for Nate, thank you guys for watching, and have a good night.